Good morning and happy Tuesday. I missed yesterday. I'm sorry. Life happens. So even when you practice all this stuff and you do everything and you do all this stuff on a daily basis, that doesn't mean that life's not going to happen. And the road to success is never a straight line. What I love is I'm getting ready to have another trip around the sun anniversary here, and what I love is I've realized how much the road to success is you plan and you have your map, and the road sometimes goes the way that you think it's going to go, but most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time the results that you're looking for come from something that you didn't anticipate, but you open yourself up to that idea, and then that's what starts it. So I apologize I missed yesterday. Like I said, life happened. What can I say? We've been talking about the six human needs, and this is my favorite vehicle for figuring out why people do what they do. This is the vehicle I've studied. This is the vehicle that I use and has now become part of just kind of an ingrained part of me. When we started this, I encouraged you find a vehicle that you use to learn why people do what they do, whether it's Myers-Briggs. I forgot to put the link. I will put the link on the, fire, water, metal. I'll put that link up. There was also a suggestion about the different colors. That's one that you could use. Obviously, there's the doshas, the Ayurvedic, Hindu yoga type stuff, all of which is great. If you want to learn about the dosha stuff, by the way, Deepak Chopra's books are incredible. He has many, and they're all spectacular. The stuff on Ayurvedic healing is the stuff that I've read. But pick one. Pick a vehicle that you really become an expert at so that you can learn. And so instead of reacting when somebody doesn't respond in a way that you would expect, then you'll ask yourself a question, a more empowering question of, why is this person doing what they're doing? Why are they responding in this way? And then you can figure out, using whatever system you've become great at, to understand why they're doing that, which is going to allow you to respond more eloquently. If somebody gets upset with you and it's not expected, a lot of times our reaction is to get upset back. I didn't deserve that. Well, if instead you ask a question like, why is this person responding in this fashion? Now that's going to lead to you actually figuring out why it is they're doing what they're doing. Most of the time it has nothing to do with you. Most of the time it has something to do with something that makes sense. When you figure it out, you go, okay, I get that. Tony tells a story about where he was driving somewhere and he was in a hurry and he wasn't paying attention as he should, and he pulled out in front of a person on a motorcycle, and they both had to stop very quickly, and nothing happened, but they came close to hitting. And the guy on the motorcycle came over to his door and screamed at him, and then drove off. And Tony said at first he was like, I messed up, but I didn't deserve that response. But then he asked a better question: why did this person respond the way that they did? So he followed them on the motorcycle, which is also a little bit of a funny story, because then the guy parks the motorcycle and Tony gets out of his car. Well, Tony's 6'8" and built, so the guy's like, oh my God, what's this mean? And Tony came out and said, no, I just want to tell you, I'm sorry that I made that mistake. And I just wanted to tell you, I apologize for missing that stop sign and, causing you to be alarmed. Well, the guy accepted the apology. He was still in a huff, and Tony kind of persisted because that's how he is. And he learned that the guy had lost a good friend in a motorcycle wreck recently. And then he also learned that the guy was debating whether or not he was going to still ride motorcycles, and then he almost gets in a wreck with Tony. So hence the response, because almost all motorcycle wrecks aren't the fault of the driver of the motorcycle. So rather than getting mad and responding in a way that was reactionary, he asked a better question. And that's the point of these filters, is whichever one you decide to become an expert at, when you become an expert at it, you're going to ask yourself better questions. So when somebody responds to you in a fashion that isn't the best, instead of reacting and causing, a worse situation, you're going to ask a better question, and instead you're going to learn something, and it typically results in a much different situation than if you didn't. So let's finish up with the 6 human needs. We did the first 4: certainty, and then uncertainty / variety, significance, and love and connection. And we talked about how those needs are always juxtaposed. So you got to balance. And when people get too much of one, it throws everything out of whack. So you get too much certainty, you get bored. You get too much uncertainty, you freak out. You get too much significance, you feel totally isolated and alone. Too much love and connection, you don't feel like you have any identity whatsoever, and you feel like you're lost. And then we gave examples of those things, a lot. And relationships are great examples of those things. We get into a certain relationship because we want certainty and we want love and connection. And then if that relationship delivers too much certainty, we get bored. Everything becomes predictable. Nothing's new anymore. And then also, if we get too much love and connection, like when people have young children and everything is all about the kids, they don't feel like they have any identity, especially if they leave their work. This happens a lot with moms. They have a child. They decide to stay home with the child. They leave their career. The whole thing about, what do I do? Every mom that has a career, in addition to the career of being a mom, which is a career, but if you have a career outside the home, every mom who has a career outside the home struggles with that career. Everyone. Am I spending too much time away from my kids, too much time with my kids? I can say this because she's given us permission to say this. Melissa Etheridge is a big Tony Robbins person, and the first event that she was at was a UPW, and I was working there, and that was her whole thing. She was there with her wife, and they have a child, and the child was a teenager, I think. And her whole thing was, I did this new album, and I got to go out on the road. Do I take my kid with? Do I not take? I mean, we all struggle with the same stuff. It's just what wrapper is that stuff in? So instead of, do I go to work during the day or do I stay home with my kid? For her, it was, do I do a world tour because I'm an internationally known rock star? Obviously a different wrapper, but the same issue. So, and we always find a way to meet those 4 needs, always. You are always going to meet those needs. The question is, are you meeting them eloquently or not? So like going out on a Friday night meets all 4 of your needs, but it's not meeting them eloquently. Other things like exercise can meet all 4 needs and meet them more eloquently in a way that supports you. When I say eloquent, what I mean is the activity getting you closer to your goals or further away? Are you getting closer to the outcomes that you want to create, or are you getting further away from the outcomes that you want to create? If you're going to the bar on Friday night, staying out too late, making bad decisions, that's probably not getting you closer to your outcomes. Maybe it is, but probably it's not. Whereas if you're training for a marathon, that's probably going to get you closer to the outcomes that you're looking for, as opposed to not, depending upon what those particular outcomes are. If what you're doing meets 3 needs, it becomes a habit, meets them at a high level. If it meets 4, it becomes an addiction. So anything that you're doing that you don't want to do, that you're struggling changing that pattern, the reason that you're doing it is because it meets your needs. And it might not meet them in the best way, but you're not meeting them in another way. So how do you change that? Meet the needs in a better way. So like eating. Why do people overeat? Well, if you're stressed and you eat a whole bunch of food, what does it do? It causes you to relax because all the blood goes to your stomach. And so it shuts down your body to an extent so you can breathe and you can relax. So people are stress eaters. A lot of overeaters are stress eaters. If you watch The Biggest Loser, most everybody there is a stress eater. And so what do? Every time somebody gets stressed, every time somebody has something happen in their life that is not what they predicted, they take them, first they deal with it, and then they immediately take them to the gym and have them work out. Watch the show. Every time that's what they do. Why do they do that? Because now their addiction is going to be, I'll go work out and it'll release endorphins and I'll feel better, instead of eating. That's how you change your actions to meet your needs. So if you're a stress eater, when you get stressed, go to the gym. It won't take very long. And when you go to that gym, you're going to feel better. And then you're going to instead be addicted to that as opposed to being addicted to the food. Because your body knows that the workout is better. Your body knows that interacting in that activity is meeting your needs at a higher level than eating a pile of Fritos and sitting in front of the television. So that's how you use these technologies in order to change your actions, in addition to using them to interpret what other people are doing and why they're doing it. This is living the life directed. So the last two needs that we still haven't covered: growth and contribution. Here's the thing about the last two needs. Most people are not fulfilling the last two needs, at least not on a high level. You will always find a way to fill the first four. You have to work to find a way to fulfill the last two. And here's the deal. The last two is where all the juice of life is. Remember, if we're not growing, we're dying. But gravity is automatic. We have to intentionally work at growing. We have to intentionally take the time to read, to listen to videos that inspire us and educate us, to do the thing, to go to seminars, to do the things that we need to do in order to grow. And we have to intentionally contribute. That's something that you do intentionally. That's something that you set aside time to do. And you can contribute in a million different ways. But you intentionally have to work at doing that. And that's where all the juice of life is in growth and contribution. The more of your activity that you can put towards the last two needs, the more fulfilled your life is going to be. If you want to be on those last days of your life, able to look back and say, I'm proud of what I did with my life, then you do everything you can to have your actions work in the growth and contribution chart. The more that you can do there, the more you're going to look back and say, that was really a great idea. But it's like gravity. You got to resist. You've got to intentionally go do that. Most of us, this includes me, spend most of our time working on the first four. And the life not directed, we spend our time working on the first four in ways that don't support us because we don't schedule that. That's where scheduling comes in. That's why we talked about RPM before we did this. When you intentionally schedule your life, now you're scheduling the first four needs in ways that support you, which is going to allow you to get into those last two needs that much more. Because you got to have time in order to work on growth and contribution, which means you got to have your finances in order, which means you have to have your health in order. You have to be able to put forth the effort and the time in order to get there. You have to still pay your bills, and you have to still do the commitments that you've scheduled to do. So that's why growth and contribution are hard, but that's what makes them great. And in the line of the league of their own, it's supposed to be hard. The hard is what makes it great. Well, that's the truth with growth and contribution. So that's I can't hold up two hands because I'm holding my phone. That's our 6 human needs: certainty, uncertainty / variety, significance, love and connection, and then the last two are growth and contribution. Learn how to meet your needs in an elegant way. Post here if you have any questions. I'll be happy to talk about them and answer them. But the habits that we have that we don't like, we keep them because they fulfill 3 or 4 of our needs. The way to change that is to fulfill those needs at a higher level. And when you're looking in a way that does support us, higher level in a way that does support us. And if you're looking towards growth and contribution, it makes that much easier in order to get fulfilled. All right, that was a lot. If you got questions, please post them. I'd be happy to talk about this again. I got other stuff that I'm going to start talking about tomorrow, unless I get a bunch of questions here, in which case we can talk about this all week, because this is incredibly important stuff. Find a way to meet those needs in a way that supports you. And remember, if it meets 4 of them at a decent level, it becomes an addiction very, very quickly. So if you want to get addicted to exercise, that's how you do it. You want to get addicted to eating healthy, that's how you do it. You want to get addicted to reading, That's how you do it. You want to get addicted to the things that get you closer to your goals, not further away. Then that's how you do it. Have a great day, everybody. I'm going to say hi to those that are on. Mr. Drehobel down in Florida, great to see you. My Uncle Bill, thanks for the shirt. Betty got it for me. It's awesome. Mr. Lampy, great to see you this morning. Heather, great to see you. Wendy, thanks for doing this. My pleasure, Wendy. And Tammy, great to see you. So we got a mother-daughter team on this morning. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.